Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are pleased to welcome Nicolai and Rasmus Højgaard to the interview room. And yes, you are seeing double. They have helpfully dressed accordingly. Nicolai and Rasmus will be the first set of twins to play at the Masters. Nicolai, we'll start with you. You had a great start to your Masters career with a top 20 finish. And at one stage on Saturday, you were even leading the event. Can you share some of those memories with us and how that's helped with your preparation for this year?
Yeah, I mean, very special to be back. Got some great memories here from last year. I wish I would have, finished it off a little bit better, but I've learned a lot from that week. The last 27 holes was probably some of the most important, learning experience I've had in golf, and to go forward as well in majors. And but it was one of the best weeks I've ever had. And for my preparation, I'm more aware of stuff, especially on the back nine. It's playing tricky, and but if you hit the right shots, you're going to have chances. And pars are a good score at times. And I think sometimes you forget that when you play, and when you're up there, you want to keep pushing. And it was a great learning experience.
Great. Rasmus, a question for you. It's your debut at the Masters, and uniquely you get to play with your very slightly older brother. Could you share some of the memories that the two of you had when you were growing up, when you first started watching the Masters?
I think we've had many moments on the putting green at our local golf club where we would tell each other, this is the putt to win the Masters, and then, trying to compete with each other. So it's, I think we really started watching the Masters when we were about 10, 11 years old. So, 2012, when Bubba won, was probably the first real memory we have of the place. So, yeah, it's nice to be here now.
Well, we'll welcome you both here. Over to the floor for questions, and we'll take them in English or in Danish. So we'll start with you, Luke.
Nicolai and Rasmus, the Masters is tracking like every shot that players hit on the range this week. I'm just curious, like for viewers at home, what should we be paying attention to, in your opinion, about the way you guys practice and warm up?
I think it's very interesting that you can follow every shot, and also to see how players prepare. I think it's really, really cool. And the Masters app is the best app in the world. You can see a full round of golf, and you can see exactly how people prepare, and the numbers. I think that's interesting when you see someone hit a 7-iron. You can compare it to yourself, and so I think it's a really cool feature, and I think that a lot's going to benefit from it.
And any like numbers in particular that we should be keeping an eye on in terms of things we can learn?
I think you're going to see, you probably, distance control you see from the best players, and how similar every shot is. It doesn't vary that much. It's the same thing and same flight almost every time. And I think that's the impressive part, the consistency of players. And you're probably going to see some really high ball speed on the range from a few players, but also see some players with a lower ball speed that's going to compete. And I think that's the really cool thing about this place, and how different golfers are and what qualities different players have.
Thomas.
Yeah, if it's okay, I'll do this in Danish. Hvor specielt er det at sidde lige præcis der, hvor I sidder sammen til en pressekonference til Masters?
Det er ret specielt. Det er jo klart, at hvis ikke vi er tvillinger, så har vi nok ikke siddet der. Men det er jo super, super fedt. Det er jo ikke noget, vi som familie eller som Nick og jeg har snakket meget om. Det er at være de første tvillinger, der skal spille her. Men når vi nu er her, og det er et emne, der bliver snakket om, så er det faktisk ret fedt.
Søren.
I would like to follow up on the conversation that we had last week with the both of you. Nicolai, what was it like showing Rasmus around here on Sunday when you guys arrived for the first time? And Rasmus, what was it like standing on that 10th tee that we had a conversation about?
I mean, I don't know anything about the course really. I've played here once, so I just told Rasmus what I did last year and a few things and a few advice I got from a few players before showing up last year. So I said, Ras, this is what I did. You can deal with it how you want to, and but we're going to play some practice rounds with some very experienced players and ask them more questions. And I think that's important as well, that I've only been here once, so I know a certain amount, but we're going to play with players who's been here 20 times. So I think for us, he should probably ask advice from some of the more experienced players.
Jeff.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that 10th tee shot, yeah, it looks crazy. It's, you know, it's such a cool hole, but standing there and it's your first shot you're gonna hit, you know, at this place was, I was quite nervous there Sunday, but somehow managed to find the fairway, so I was happy with that.
Guys, congrats on making a bit of Masters history this week, being the first twins to play in it. There aren't many people in the world who know what it's like to play in the Masters, but there are a lot of us who know what it's like to have a sibling. And I'm just curious, how much of your success today do you attribute to your brother? Question for both of you.
I think we, you know, growing up it was very difficult because we were very competitive, and I don't think we supported each other very much back then. We would fight a lot more than, you know, saying congratulations. So I think over the years we've matured quite a bit, and you know, it's always having someone to practice with, competing against, I think is very helpful. And I think we can both say that we probably wouldn't be here if we didn't have each other.
I pretty much agree with Ras said. I think that when we were younger, we learned how to deal with when somebody was playing well and we couldn't talk to each other for days, and that helped a certain amount of really wanted to beat each other, and that competitive edge we both have, and I think that's been really important. And then when we got older and more mature, we can obviously shake each other's hand now and say congrats when somebody's playing well, and be brothers as well, and friends at the same time. So it's been pretty cool, the ride we've been on together, and hopefully it will be even better going forward.
David.
I just wonder the similarity, first of all, Raz. It's very helpful that you've kept your hair long, unless you're planning a short haircut before Thursday. But I remember there were stories that you used to tease Keith Pelly by pretending to be each other. I just wondered if there are any other instances where you've had a bit of fun with people not being able to tell you apart.
Yeah, we've had, back when we went to school, we would switch classes. And everyone in the room would obviously know that it's the wrong one that's here, but the teacher wouldn't know. So we would sit there for an hour, and everyone was trying to be serious about the situation. And then the teacher eventually would find out that it's Nicolai that's here and not Ras, and they would actually just laugh about it. So we did that a few times, and we thought that was quite fun.
And the Keith Pelly thing, did Keith ever manage to tell you apart properly or not?
Struggled in the start, but he got better over time.
Klaus.
Yes, Nicolai, you said it was the single most biggest learning experience of your career playing here last year. Why, considering you've tried a lot of things as a golfer already, Ryder Cup, all the majors. Why did?
Because I was leading after 10 holes in the third round and ended up finishing 16. So after the tournament, I looked at that thinking, what did go wrong after you've been in the perfect position to then finish 16? And going forward, what can you learn from that? And I think looking ahead, and when I went back to the drawing board with my team, we talked about, you know, think of pars as a good score sometimes. When you're out of position, get it back in play. Bogeys are not necessarily a bad thing in certain situations. So I think play the situation sometime more than the long game, or you get too far ahead in a situation. I could easily remember walking over to 11th tee that, okay, we're in this situation now. This is what we've been dreaming of how to deal with it now. It was the first time, and you gotta have a few tries potentially before you get it right. But I'm quite happy it happened for me. So to go forward, I think I'm in a very good position and know how to deal with it better than last year.
Charlie.
Nicolai, we're of course in a Ryder Cup year, and you've now had the experience of playing in the Masters and playing in the Ryder Cup. And I wonder if you could just compare, the individual to the team, just what those different experiences were like. And then Rasmus, obviously both those being on your goals this year, how this experience could contribute to potentially making that team at Bethpage.
Two very different events, but the two favorite events I've ever played in. And this week is probably the one event you wanna win at some point, for hopefully in your career. And the Ryder Cup was the coolest week in a different way. It's hard to explain, but the team environment and representing Europe and the bonds you create that week and what we did in Rome was super special. So yeah, you're doing something right if you're playing this every year, and you can play a few Ryder Cups. So that's the goal.
Again, obviously seeing Ryder Cup up close in 23 was pretty cool. I was driving Thomas Bjorn around as a vice captain and got to see all the golf from inside the ropes, and yeah, it was special, and it just makes me want to get to one of those teams. So obviously this week can do a lot for that. If you play well, you can get a lot of points. But again, it's still, in 5 months' time. So I try not to look too far ahead at the moment and just stay more present.
John.
First of all, whose idea was it to wear the same clothes today?
It was completely random, to be fair. Ras left the house a little bit earlier than me this morning, and then when I came out here, he was sitting in beige pants and a green jumper, and I said, Ras, because I saw he left in a black shirt, so I thought, perfect. Then I realized we got the same jumper on. So, and then we actually thought, no, it's not too bad actually. It made good sense going in the press conference in the same clothes, so it worked out all right.
And then do you guys still feel like you practice similarly, and do you like to practice together? And last year when, Nicolai, you were on PGA Tour and Rasmus on DP World Tour, what did you miss most about each other, just being in separate continents?
When we are around each other, we play, practice, and compete with each other every day. So I think again, it's one of the things that helps us getting better. But at the same time, it's nice to have the time alone as well. You got to deal with that too, and I think we both learned that quite a bit over the last couple of years, with Nicolai playing more over here and I was playing in Europe. So, it's been, we kind of knew at an early age that we weren't going to be on the same path, all the time. At some point, one is going to get a little bit more ahead of the other one, and Nicolai did that by getting to the PGA Tour, and it's nice to follow him now, and then we can travel and play out here together. So it's that's, I guess, is the lessons learned from the last couple of years.
Yeah, guys, I'm curious if you can take us back to the moment that you found out you'd both be in the field making history, and what that was like for you.
It was back in January, actually, and I got a call, I got a special invite for this week, which I'm very thankful for, and I said to Ras the following day that we're both going to be in the Masters, and I was actually sick at that time. I was in bed, feeling ill, and it was a good way to get the mood a little bit up, and yeah, it's cool to sitting here now and to share the experience.
Johnny.
I know you guys played the golf course on Sunday. Any adjustments to the bag now? Haven't seen the golf course once. Anything you guys are either one of you doing to the bag in prep for this week?
I've put a 7-wood in the bag, so that's pretty much the only change. I thought about, I've tried different grinds and wedges and all that, but I think I'm going to stick to what I know and what I've been using the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I've got a 7-wood in the bag, which is I tried that a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but finally now it's in the bag.
My bag still looks the same. I'm playing a 7-wood and 3-wood driver and pitch to 4-iron. So it's a very similar bag that I've played all year and last year. So you won't be able to have the 7-wood into a couple par 5s potentially, and you won't the 3-wood on a few tee shots. So yeah, the bag is very similar, as you know.
Sorry.
Speaking of tweaks and changes to your approach to this week, there was a video out, Nicolai, by Butch Harmon last week. What was the reason for that visit?
Yeah, I went to see him for a day. Yeah, I've wanted to do that for quite a while, and there was time for it, so I went to see him for a day, and it was really, really good. Yeah, enjoyed the day with him and Jose Maria, so I had a great time in Vegas.
Nicolai, this is a question for both of you. Your 16th place last year is the many of you have had in a major. Ambitious as you are you disappointed that you haven't been able to post a top 10 or a top 5 yet, or are you thinking this is all going to happen in due course?
We still haven't played that many majors, and I think it is different playing majors and normal tournaments. I think for both of us, our goal is to compete in majors going forward, and it could be this week, it might not be this week, but I think there's a lot of learning still for us, and I think an experience that Nicolai had last year was very key. I sat at home watching it, and I probably felt a little bit of what he felt out there, but it's we have big goals for the future, and again, we're trying to take day by day, and do we get in the positions of where we are in contention? It's a new experience, but again, it's where you want to be. So we're trying to take it as a learning process, I think.
Yeah, I agree with what Russ said. Played a few majors now, and you always want to play well when you play them. There was bids last year for a few of the majors where we were up there after a round or 2 or 3. So looking back, there's been some great learning experience, and I think going forward, we got high expectations and big goals for the future. But as Ras said, we're taking it day by day, and it might happen this week, it might not. So if you're in the process of that, I think that's gonna someday happen.
Dylan, at the back.
Rasmus, has anything surprised you about being here so far, about the property, the field, the golf course? Anything different than you expected?
There's a few places on the course where I think the third green, how big that runoff is short of the green there, shocked me a little bit. 10th tee, Nicolai said to me that's probably the tee shot that's going to shock you the most, and I didn't quite know what to expect. But standing there on the 10th tee, it looks very different from what I've seen on TV. So I think in general, I've probably watched every footage of the Masters since 1975 on YouTube. So I feel like I know the course a little bit, but then when you see it up close in real life, it's very different. And certainly around 3 and 10 was the biggest wow for me, I think.
And Nicolai, you talked about making some adjustments from last year. Just looking at the numbers, it's kind of interesting the way the course sets up. It's, I'll be a little off here, but the par 4s say average 4.2 and the par 5s average like 4.6. So is that partly what you have to adjust to, is knowing that, hey, these scoring holes, you have to put the pedal to the metal, and then the par 4s, you might have to settle for 5?
Yeah, I mean, the scores is going to be on the par 5s this week. If you take care of those and you kind of play the par 4 somewhat decent, I think, it's only third hole that's the short and a little bit more gettable par 4, really. Other than that, every hole plays over par, and knowing that before you head out might be a good thing, but it also might be a thing that potentially scares people slightly. But I think knowing that par is a good score is very important when you're here. And then the par 5s are quite gettable. Every one of them are reachable. So that's where the scores are. You have to make your score on the par 5s, and if you nick a few on the rest, you're in a great position. But pars in general are really good.
Ulrich.
Yeah, you mentioned you're going to play with some experienced players in the practice round. And I was just curious because I know Thomas Björn used to do that. When he came to the European Tour, he looked up Darren Clarke and Lee Westwood and those guys. And I was just curious, which of those players have you reached out to play with here in the practice round?
So last year I played 9 holes with John Rahm, and then on Tuesday I played with Adam Scott on Wednesday. And tomorrow we're playing with Adam Scott again. And I texted him a few days prior and asked if he wanted to play 9 holes with us. And he's a guy we look up to as a golfer, but also as a person. So, and him being a specialist around this place, I thought would be good for both of us. I was supposed to play with Jose on Monday, but the weather kind of was a little bit in the way for that.
One last question, Thomas.
I just wonder, with the competitiveness, but also obviously the brotherhood, how would it be to watch the other guy put on that green jacket on Sunday?
Probably be very frustrating. No, I think it'd be very cool. It'd be very cool, and I don't know how, I don't think what we can expect from that. I think if something like that happens, I think we will deal with it at the time, but I think it's hard to sit here and try and explain what that will feel like, because that's going to be a little different from what we've tried before.
I agree.
Rasmus, Nicolai, thanks for a really interesting interview, and we wish you both the very best for the week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.